Wow. We're doing away with our intermission, people, because we've got more people to speak. And Jim criticised me before for a stereotype about politicians, but this is one stereotype that is absolutely true. Jews don't like rain. So we're going to move on, and our next speaker needs little introduction, really. He is the Shadow Secretary of State for Northern Ireland. As MP for Bury South, he has represented many of you here since 1997. Ivan Lewis, as we saw this week, unashamedly puts principles and the requirements of his constituents before party politics. He stands proud to be Jewish, and as an active member of Labour Friends of Israel is unstinting in his pro-Zionist activity. As we were fighting our enemies on the street at Kedem, Ivan was lobbying the council, the police commissioner on a daily basis, at one point threatening to elevate the whole dispute to the Home Office unless action was immediately taken. Ivan is also the founder, indeed only member, of the Labour Friends of Manchester City. It's a body that meets every second weekend and some Wednesdays to discuss why there are 20,000 empty seats at the Etihad Stadium. Ladies and gentlemen, Ivan Lewis MP.
As a Member of Parliament these days, you often turn up at events like this purely to be abused. So thank you very, very much, Stuart, for those kind remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, having heard that last speaker, now you know I invited Jim Murphy to speak to us here today. He has given up his entire weekend to be in Manchester to show his solidarity. So one final time, can we show our appreciation for Jim Murphy? But ladies and gentlemen, Jim will forgive me if I say this to you. Everybody but everybody today has been humbled by one speech and one speech alone. And that was the speech of Chaim Förster. And Chaim reminded me to share two stories with you here this afternoon. The first story is a trip I made with the sixth formers from King David High School several years ago to Auschwitz. It was the March of the Living. And as we arrived, the official ceremony was not ready to begin. And we stood, me and those kids and the teachers, outside Auschwitz. And what did those Jewish kids do? They started eating their sandwiches. At first, I thought this felt wrong. And then I realised, if they'd got the way, not one kid anywhere in the world would have been able to eat a sandwich if they'd got the way those people who wanted to kill all those Jews in the Holocaust. That was the ultimate irony of all of those children stood there at Auschwitz. And the second story is, several years ago, the Queen hosted an event at Buckingham Palace for Holocaust survivors. And I don't spend a great deal of time at Buckingham Palace. But I was walking up the steps, and this man in his 80s was walking down, and he burst into tears. He was a Holocaust survivor. And he looked me in the eye and he said this: "The first act of kindness I ever experienced was at the age of 11 when I arrived in this country, and now the Queen is hosting an event for Holocaust survivors at Buckingham Palace." And those both stories take me to my main message today. The message which should reverberate around our nation and world from this great city of Manchester today is crystal clear. We are proud to be British and proud to be Jewish. We are proud of our country and proud to be members of a UK Jewish community which has played a leading role in the economic, political, social and cultural life of this nation for generations. Adamant that those responsible for anti-Semitic attacks of any kind must be held accountable for their actions. And adamant they will never be successful in forcing us to choose between our pride in being British and our pride in our Jewish identity. But we are determined and unapologetic too. Determined that our children and grandchildren should feel able to hold their heads high, whether in our streets, on our university campuses, or in the workplace. Unapologetic in demanding zero tolerance of anti-Semitic abuse, intimidation and violence. In the context of today's rally, there are two great historical truths. Hatred of the Jewish people is the oldest hatred of them all. And anti-Semitism is a misnomer. Anti-Semitism is Jew hatred. We should make it clear. But the second great historical truth is this. The survival of the Jewish people is testimony to the courage and resilience which has passed from generation to generation. And today we stand tall as guardians of that legacy of our community in this country. But friends, we need friendships and alliances with others too. Isn't it moving, friends, that representatives of the Kurdish community are here today? And we should say to them clearly, the full scale of the horror facing your brothers and sisters in Iraq and Syria is beyond words. I'm sure I speak for everyone when I say we have a duty to do everything we can to support the Kurds that are facing distinction in Iraq and Syria. To our Muslim friends, I say that Islamophobia is abhorrent, and irrespective of differences about the Middle East, we Jews have a duty to speak out without fear or favour whenever and wherever it rears its ugly head. And by doing so, we maintain the moral authority to ask others to act against anti-Semitism. To our Christian friends, many of whom are here today, your solidarity means so much, and we share your concern that Christians around the world are increasingly facing discrimination where they are minorities. Thank you so much to all those. Thank you so much to all those who have chosen to identify with us at this difficult time. We may not share the same faith, but we share the same values. And friends, the vast majority of people here, and we should say it, are proud to call themselves supporters of the State of Israel. We don't have to support every action, every statement, or every member of this or any other Israeli government. But we are determined to highlight the qualities of a country which is a beacon of democracy and contributes so much to the world through education, technological innovation and medical research. A country which faces the daily reality of not simply rocket attacks, but fundamentalist terrorist organisations Hamas and Hezbollah located on her borders, hell-bent on violence and destruction. It is true, of course, that not all critics of Israel or supporters of the Palestinian cause are anti-Semitic, but too many friends increasingly cross a line in the language that they use and the symbols that they deploy. I believe, and many people here believe too, in an Israel free from the threat of daily terrorist attack and treated as a partner in the Middle East by her neighbours. I also believe in the importance of dignity for the Palestinians and negotiations which lead to a viable Palestinian state alongside Israel. I, like so many others here, believe in a just peace. My sadness is that too many of those who shout the loudest about their support for the Palestinian cause rarely talk of peace or the duty on both sides to compromise. Instead, friends, they engage in the disproportionate demonization of Israel. It isn't right. It does nothing to further the cause of peace, and it has to be challenged. This summer, when a band of political extremists tried to drive a Jewish shop out of business in our city, this community discovered its voice. Out of adversity, we found hope and unity. A new movement was born. But friends, something else happened too. The torch of leadership passed to a new generation. Rafi, Stuart, Anthony, Richard, Sergio, Martine, Nadine, and all of their colleagues did a remarkable job in mobilising the community, and they have earned the right to lead this community on these issues. But friends, I want to end by saying this. Leaders are nothing without a strong team. To adapt a memorable challenge from a historic speech. When you leave today, I urge you not to ask what your community can do for you, but ask what can you do for your community. And only then will this rally have earned a special place in history. Not simply as a memorable event, that is guaranteed, but as a catalyst for a new, energetic, assertive and responsible campaign against anti-Semitism. And if we do that, hope will triumph over fear. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been asked. Now this will reinforce the suspicions of those who believe that we Jews run every element of the world. And the reason I say this, and I never thought this day would come, I am about to read out a statement from the Chancellor of the Exchequer. I'm about to read out a statement from the Chancellor of the Exchequer, George Osborne. And those of you who want tax cuts, put your hands up. Those of you who want more funding for the health service, put your hands up. It's agreed. But seriously, ladies and gentlemen, it is extremely important that you're going to hear from Graham Evans, who's a good friend of mine, a Conservative MP, in a minute. But the message we send today politically is that there is all-party support, and that support is at the highest levels. So I'm absolutely delighted that George Osborne has taken the trouble to ask for this statement to be read out. The statement reads as follows. Dear Mr. Bloom, thank you for contacting my office about the rally. I appreciate and share your concerns on this issue. While I'm aware that there's been a number of incidents recorded towards the Jewish community in recent months, I can assure you that we are doing everything in our power to prevent the fear and the distress that such deplorable actions cause. Any hostility or harassment directed towards the Jewish community in this country for whatever reason is completely unacceptable. And I'm pleased that ministers from the Department for Communities and Local Government have recently had the opportunity to hear directly from the highly respected Jewish Community Security Trust about its concerns. And Mr. Osborne goes on to say, in recent years, more than ever has been done to tackle anti-Semitism and anti-Semitic attacks in the UK, with us publishing a major report on tackling anti-Semitic crime. Alongside this, the Department for Communities and Local Government continues to host the Anti-Semitism Working Group, which brings community representatives together with officials from across government to ensure a coordinated response to emerging challenges. Britain has a long-standing reputation for freedom of speech and freedom of religion within the law. Whatever one's views about the politics of Israel and Gaza, there is absolutely no place in our country for anti-Semitic attacks. Those who commit hate crimes should be expected to be punished with the full force of the law. Everyone who believes in British liberties should condemn anti-Semitism and stand up for the Jewish community's right to practice its faith without fear or intimidation. Ladies and gentlemen, George Osborne, the Chancellor of the Exchequer. Thank you very much, everybody.